Writing with their pen.
Crap! Okay, fine. Then I will surveil you like a hawk with bad eyesight. I apologize for my bad eyesight. I apologize for the surveillance too. Okay. I know. It happened to me last year too. But I'm trying really hard on the cell phone thing as you do it. By the way.
Yeah.
I got that one right, isn't it? I did. Okay. Where was it? Okay. So I publicly apologize. Okay. I am ashamed. I am humbled.
You give her some extra credit.
Yeah.
That's a great way to get credit. Is it a cell phone or isn't it? Oh, extra credit. Yeah. I was typing on my wallet. You owe me. We saw the sponge effect. Down in the river, there was no water. Uphill, there actually was still water. Because uphill, there's a sponge. Uphill, there is absorption into the ground and re-release to the river. So the sponge effect was witnessed by the students on the field trip. Remember, Rocky Nook had flowing, gurgling stream. We went downhill where that water is traveling, and the water was gone because it had more infiltration through the stream bed than it had flow into the stream. Once we hit the impermeable city with its channelized gutters, it was actually all dried out. So if you went on the field trip, you've seen the sponge effect, extended moderate surface flow. You know the other things that are good about wetlands. We saw bioremediation and so on. Number 22 gets 3 stars, and now you're really going to hate me. There's like 15 study goals about dams. About the Three Gorges Dam in particular, 3 and 23. About the Colorado River in particular, 10, 25, 36. And general content about dams in general, 22, 45, 48, and 53 to 55. One other thing about dams that we all have to remember, dams have benefits too. Like, I know that I believe that dams are a bad idea, and I believe we need to find alternatives to dams. But while we're talking about dams, 3 reasons why we actually like them: flood control, irrigation, and carbon-free electricity. Those are actually like real priorities for real society. So we can't just be dismissive of dams even though they have all these problems, because we got to find a solution to those 3 issues anyway. Imperfect solution is better than no solution. Number 23 gets a star. Goes to number 3. We already said that. 24 gets 3 stars. Channelization is a big deal. And there's a little diagram that might help you in your reader, number 41. 26 gets 3 stars, which is why I made you this bitchin' drawing. Number 28 gets 2 stars. We will discuss that one today. Number 30 gets a star. 31 gets a star. Both of those are relatively simple. 34 gets 3 stars. And again, that's why we put this up here and why we went on that field trip to the wastewater treatment plant. which again I thought was awesome, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I know the smell was bad, but that was kind of neat, right? With, like, the bubbling and the chambers and, like...
Yeah. You know, the guys that work there get paid, like, decently?
I believe they're actually, like, working for the city's a good racket.
Because that seems like a pretty sweet job.
Sweet one word for it.
I mean, you get over the smell within, like, 15 minutes of being there.
And it goes up and down. So, like, the smell, they're volatile gases. So when it's cold, there's no smell. As the temperature rises, the molecules volatilize out of the water, and then you can smell them. So, like, during a heat wave, it smells really bad. So, like, when you show up to work in the morning, it's not that bad. So, like, the intensity of the smell kind of cranks up, and you do get used to it. And, you know, like, working for the city in general, like, they have a lot of, like, flexible hour things, where instead of working, like, a 40-hour week, 8 hours, 5 days a week, you work 9 hours a day, so every other Friday is a day off. So I've got a friend who works for the City Air Quality Control Board. And so instead of working 40-40, he works like 45-35, and then get the day off, or 47-33, and then get the day off. Forget the math. That's cool. Every other weekend, a 3-day weekend. So for a climber, that's the perfect rhythm. You know, you spend a few days training, a few days resting, a few days packing, a few days climbing, a few days resting, a few days waiting.
It's just like an air quality control place.
No, there's like a huge bureaucracy to manage whether or not you get to add a generator, whether you're going to start a construction site. They regulate all the natural gas infrastructure. Dude, I'll tell you, working for the city, like, they get a really good retirement. He's a single guy who makes probably what I make. He's younger than me, and so he has maxed out his retirement. Like, he puts in as much as he's allowed to. Then he maxes out his 401k account, so he's got basically a private retirement and a public retirement. Then he also has a savings account. So he's basically planning to retire in his mid-late 40s at his current rate of income.
Oh, that's stupid. Why do you want to retire that early?
Because he's not trying to get rich. He lives in a little tiny apartment. He's single.
You're going to be really bored, though. I feel like, oh my God.
If you look to your job for your enjoyment,
No, but I'm talking about, like, you don't have anything else to level out your day with. Like, if you just do awesome stuff.
drugs, women, what are you talking about?
Really bad.
Oh, dang, come on, camera. Yeah, okay, so, you all know I'm kidding, but my point is that God forbid work is a requirement for your happiness. I mean, work is how you pay the bills so you can have fun. How about this? The second I can retire, I'm walking out of the room. Like, if I could retire today, and I found out right now, I would just stop talking and run. Dude, there is no way you can keep me at work 1 second longer than I'll be there.
Regardless of that, the water takes the night. It's like cool inside, it's outside.
It's like science, it's engineering, it's problem solving, it's a dynamic working environment. Like, I have to say, like, there's a shocking number of cool science jobs. Like, high school kids rarely see, like, science is just a way of thinking that's applicable to things that people care about, so there's usually money there. Yeah.
But this is where do they have all the extra micros?
There's stuff around and bring them back to work.
Oh, that's what he does.
Okay. One month. You better call it stop me by yourself. Alright. I am actually running a little bit slowly. We've had very many pleasant interruptions, but you do deserve all this instruction. So 34 gets 3 stars. And I'd like to remind you, I added something. The distinction between gray water and black water. Also remember, This digestion is aerobic, like your stomach makes CO2, not methane. The sludge can be digested later, anaerobic, to make methane, like they're doing over at the wastewater treatment plant. But this type of digestion is aerobic. That's why it means bubbles. Gray water is the wastewater in your house that's not full of germs and it's not hazardous to your health. Like if you just wash it off your hands, how bad can it be? So if you use the right type of soap and you have the right type of plumbing, gray water is a resource that you can still recycle at your house. You can recover about 90 to 95% of your household water usage for external irrigation. And you can figure out the plumbing and be careful what goes down the drains. No bleach, no high phosphorus or high sulfur soaps. 35 gets 1 star. 36 gets a question mark. Like I told you before, the more trivia the better. I really don't know if you should study that or cram it or forget it. But the Colorado River is famous. That's why I showed you the booth number 36. Number 39 in the reading packet. I'm going to recommend that you look at specific parts of a number of articles. So in number 39, easy vocab, the distinction between zooplankton and phytoplankton. Make sure you know that distinction. Number 41, a really useful page about stream flow. This one. So natural rivers versus canals. How channelization affects watersheds. Really useful. Really, really good. That goes with number 24. 41 gets a star. That goes with 24. 42 has basic vocab, no big deal. 43 has some pretty useful trivia. About water usage. Remember that your house uses the most water on outside irrigation. Then indoors, the most water use is your toilet. And if you rank the other uses, then washing bodies, washing clothing, washing dishes. Miscellaneous usage and cooking are last. 45 makes a critical distinction. Not all fish are salmon. So please look up. If you have a cold water river, salmon are used to jumping up a waterfall. So to get the salmon around the dam, you just get them over the dam. It's called a fish ladder. It's a puddle that spills into a puddle that spills into a puddle that spills into a puddle. So they just jump like a staircase all the way over the top and then they get into the reservoir. But in warm water, those fish don't jump. Catfish, they cannot go up a waterfall. So on a warm water river, you don't make a ladder, you make what's called a bypass canal. Different ways to help the fish in cold water than in hot water, because not all rivers are salmon river, because not all fish are salmon. I know, it's mind all those. It just happened. Phylogenetic trivia. Number 47, awesome detail about the Twitchell Reservoir. The Twitchell Reservoir is designed to hold water to encourage groundwater recharge in the long run. So 47 is a really cool detail about Santa Barbara. And 48 is another cool detail about Santa Barbara, how the Lake Cachuma Dam, it's called the Bradbury Dam, is actually one of the world's most salmon-friendly dams. That's right, ours. Here's a funny little quirk about Santa Barbara. We have one of the rarest salmon species. Down here, we've got what's called steelhead salmon. They are rainbow trout that found the ocean. and steelhead are one of the most threatened salmon. So here's a funny detail. They've got a lot more salmon. And they've got a lot more salmon, and even they've got a lot more salmon. Up here's where all the salmon are, all the way up. But the funny thing is, they're not as